Are Karambit knives really good for self-defense? I get this question a lot, and I figured it was time to make a video. Stick around. I just want to take a moment to thank all of my subscribers and welcome all the new visitors here to 411 Outdoors. I do hope you find this helpful and resourceful. So let's get right down to it. Are Karambit knives good for self-defense? Sure, but we've got more to talk about. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would advocate for the fact that a Karambit knife is not good for self-defense because it is a very different kind of knife. But if they found themselves in a situation where they had absolutely nothing and someone tossed them a Karambit knife, I'm pretty sure they'd feel different. For some, a Karambit knife is something they are very passionate about and something they train a lot with. With others, a Karambit knife is nothing more than a novelty, a cool looking blade, a blade they've seen in the movies, a blade that they deem to be very popular, and they just want one. But the one thing I will say about a Karambit knife is that it's not a knife I would recommend to someone with no training or someone who does not plan on doing any training. So I say yes, a Karambit knife is good for self-defense, but I want to provide 3 conditions. Condition number 1 is that the practitioner needs to understand the strengths and the weaknesses of the Karambit. I think one of the first advantages of a Karambit knife is the way that it wraps around the human body, wraps around a neck, wraps around key ligaments in the arms and the leg. The way that it's built, it's able to grab those things, and a person is able to manipulate and move with their attacker in a very unique way, and this moves with the human body. A Karambit can also be very elusive. I'm not one for a lot of flicking, but I do see how a lot of people use flicking to set up certain moves and set up certain flows of motion. Another major advantage of the Karambit knife is if it does catch you, it is a nasty slice. The Karambit creates a very nasty wound. You know, I've seen several demonstrations on slicing meat, and the way that it grabs and the way that it cuts is just devastating. So it does have a very devastating slice if it makes connection. And I'll just say that if you know how to use this, this is a very dangerous weapon in close. Now for me, a very clear disadvantage to something like this is forward piercing, because I like the forward piercing motion, and this really doesn't allow me that. Now I know I could turn this way and kind of pierce like that, but I don't want to turn my wrist out. I like a more conventional, straightforward piercing motion. Even if you turn it over this way, it's still not the most conventional thrusting weapon there is. So for forward thrust, I think the Karambit is at a massive disadvantage. Another thing that I'm not a fan of is this motion. It just hasn't been something that I've been very successful with in training as far as getting to the target quickly. Again, I know you can turn it this way and slash like this if you like. Everybody's different. Some like to hold their Karambit like this. I think if you're going to slash a lot, if you're going to do a lot of distance striking, this actually gives you quicker options than being here and trying to do this. So again, you just have to figure out what's going to be best for you. But I do think some of the slashing motion from this end is most definitely at a disadvantage. So just know the advantages and disadvantages. The next condition would obviously be the necessity of training, because it is a very different kind of knife. No training, no Karambit. It's my opinion that everybody should train with their blade, but there are much better options for those who do no training or very little, such as push knives or just conventional knives, because at least piercing and slashing comes easy. Lastly, I would just say find one that you can carry comfortably every day that you're willing to carry. A lot of people buy Karambit knives that are just uncomfortable to carry, and they're just sitting around the house. So for those who are very interested in Karambit knives and you're considering getting into it and you want to know if it's going to be effective and you're thinking about carrying it, you just have to take very seriously your training journey. It's a very different kind of knife. If you know how to use it, it can be very deadly. It's not for beginners, and it's definitely not for people who are not willing to grow and advance with it. Like I said earlier, for a lot of people, these are just novelties. It's just something that's attractive, that looks cool, it looks dangerous, but a lot of people are just not committed to what it takes to responsibly and effectively use this. I personally have fallen head over heels for a lot of reverse edge blades like the Clinch Pick, the Disciple. Those are both from ShivWorks. I also love the California Cobra from Tops. There's the Tops Unzipper. I just feel like blades like that give you a lot of the advantages of the Karambit knife without the limitations. I'll end by saying this: I have no hatred for the Karambit. If you know how to use one, you can be slick and you can get the job done. It just takes a lot of training, and there's a lot of people who have a lot of historical roots and ties to the Karambit. So there's people out there that are super deadly with these, but those people are committed to knowing how to use it. I hope you've enjoyed this. Take care.